Hello and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. Today I am making another page using the Feeling Groovy kit from MercyTiaraKits.com. Check out the link in the information section below. It's also written on screen. So I am trying to decide which of these photos I'm going to scrapbook in this session. I thought that I might have some photos already printed of my recent trip to the Dominican Republic, but it looks like I do not. I really want to use this fluffy palm tree die cut. That is my mission for this month, is to use that die cut somehow, somewhere. But today will not be the day that I do that. So I have this photo of my sister-in-law and I in my basement warehouse where our kits are kitted and stored, and where all of the business stuff happens around the Kit Club. So I want to scrapbook that at some point, but probably not today. I'd love to put this photo of my daughter in the center of this star, because that's a photo of her beside the wall in the Student Union building of the university she'll be going to next year. And I kind of want to celebrate her stardom in our family. But I thought that the distracting lines in I think it's a bear or a tiger. I can't remember what the mascot is, but I thought that it kind of clashed with the stars. And then I remembered that our cut file actually really works well with that image. So I'm going to save that photo for a project where I'll be using the cut file, the background cut file that comes in the main kit. And so in the meantime, I just printed up another photo because I thought that it might also be fun to celebrate Annabelle. Now, actually, my daughter and Annabelle both went to this walkout protest event on Friday, and but my daughter Sophie actually didn't take any pictures of herself. So I just have this photo of Annabelle, which is super adorable. I love how she looks. She borrowed my flannel pink shirt, and she looks great. Everybody wore pink that day. So I am using that star paper, which is a Jen Hadfield paper from the kit. I'm also going to be matting my photo on this blue floral paper. I thought that the blue really picked up on the blue in her eyes as well as in the sky. And I think there's, yeah, the sky and her eyes. That is from Maggie Holmes' Woodland Grove collection. I'm also going to be using this giant chipboard black word, and it is from the Vicky Bouton chipboard shapes that comes in the embellishment kit for Feeling Groovy. And I also noticed that there were lots of different traffic signs in this paper from Vicky Bouton Where to Next. And so I am going to pick out any ones that might be related with traffic slowdowns or blockages. I mean, they did not block traffic. This was not that kind of a protest, but they did, I guess, sort of slow down traffic. I mean, our neighborhood is not exactly Grand Central here. So the traffic in Tantallon is not the same as traffic in Halifax or a big city like Toronto, but still they did their slow down, and, lots of people slowed down and honked to support them anyways. And I think it was good experience for the students to be involved in this form of activism, those who wanted to walk out to support the support staff who are on strike. So you saw me roughly cut out a number of different traffic sign shapes there. And now I'm just looking through the other chipboard shapes in that same pack. I've actually thrown away the packaging. It comes in a really nice box, but I threw that away and I'm just storing it in some little baggies. And I want to layer some of these. These are big, bulky items that have a lot of presence on a page, but I think that they balance nicely with that giant shape. I feel like having giant elements on this page really kind of fits with that big star shape in the background. So I am using the Vicky Bouton Where to Next thickers that came in this kit. I forgot to mention the name of those in my last process video. So it's the Vicky Bouton Where to Next font. And I really love them because they're like a brush font, but they're very legible. They're a brush printing font, not a brush cursive font. And I think that they work really well with these scripty giant words that come in the chipboard shapes. So now that I have a sense of really, I cut those out roughly because I wasn't committed entirely to using them. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought I do want to use these black and white stop sign and other sign images. I just feel like they really support my story without being too obvious. And I love subtle thematic things on my pages, so this is going to be one of those. So I'm just trimming these down with my cutter bee scissors, and just kind of trimming them down a little bit closer and more precisely. And the whole time I'm kind of thinking I really love that they're black and white, because I think that they really pop out on the page. So there, I'm putting 3 in the bottom because there's less room down there, and 4 on the top because there's a little bit more room up there. Thought for a second there about using that rainbow washi tape, but I'm not going to. Thought about using that flare badge, but I'm not going to. But I will use these enamel dots, and I'll use them to add just a tiny touch of color on each of those black and white traffic signs. I thought about using stickers, I thought about using the foam stickers, and what I decided was that this would be a very minimalist page. So I'm not going to use much else besides what you see already right here. I couldn't figure out which one of these was the actual dot for the eye, but I went with this one. It doesn't really matter. So I am liking this, but I feel like these stop and other traffic sign images are going to pop even more off the page if I mat them on black. So I decided to just mat one of them on black and then see if I like that look. Yeah, I do. It does just add a bit of presence. It also repeats the black that is in the word this. And this is rather tedious work, matting each of these things that I've already cut out. And so I thought maybe I could use my corner rounder to help with this process, but no, my corner rounder, now there are different sizes and maybe yours is different, but my corner rounder was making it too rounded, even the lesser of the two. So that's a double-sided corner rounder from We Are Memory Keepers. And even the less rounded corner was too rounded for this particular project. So I'm just going to hunker down and do some cutting and pasting here. I grabbed a photo just in case things moved around because I did really like the placement of these. I use my phone sometimes to do that. It's a great way to remind yourself of what you plan to do. And I'm very mindful of the fact that so far, absolutely nothing is stuck down yet. Even the word matters, which is made out of stickers, is sitting on a piece of waxed paper. So although this is a minimalist layout that didn't take a whole lot of time, there were a few fussy elements that did take a bit of time, and this is one of them. So we'll just trim out the stop sign, and then we're done with matting things in black. Or so I thought. But yeah, let's just go with that for now. Ooh, I like how that looks. I'm going to mess around with the placement of those traffic signs just a little bit more. And I am going to use those enamel dots too. But first, let's figure out this title. We have to glue down the photo first, and I'm trying to glue it in exactly the same place, which isn't that difficult because of the lines on the background paper. And I'm going to place this title exactly where it was in the photo. So you'll see me refer to that photo quite often. And that's because I liked how it looked. So why reinvent the wheel? I'm using my T-square ruler here to set out these letters, but they don't actually have to be perfect. I just don't want them to be consistently going down or consistently going up. So I used the T ruler to help me make sure that it was mostly straight. And then I actually went back and I made the letters move a little bit so that they didn't look quite so lined up. It looked a little bit too perfect there for my liking. And the font is kind of like a jotted kind of font, so I wanted it to look less perfect. So I used my Tombow Mono Multi adhesive there, liquid adhesive, to glue down the word this, and that is super strong, and it's going to keep the word this permanently adhered to that background and to the photo. I'm using more of that same adhesive to glue these two pieces of chipboard together. These two on top of one another are fairly bulky. So if it was too bulky for you and you're not comfortable layering two chunky pieces like that, you could actually thin out one of them by peeling off several layers of the backing until one or both of them were much, much thinner than they are right now, and that would cut down on the bulkiness. But I don't mind a bit of bulk in my pages, so I just left it. Again, I'm being a little bit more obsessive about these details than what I probably need to be because they're supposed to look pretty casual. I'm spending a whole lot of time to make it look like I didn't spend much time on this. But that's the way it goes with scrapbooking, right? So I am going to put a couple of enamel dots, one on each of these embellishments that I made out of cutting out paper and then matting it on the black cardstock. And I'm choosing colors that are already on the page. So some pink, some orange, some yellow, and some blue. And then I had this idea for the traffic lights that I would put an enamel dot in each of the little circles. And I don't have red, and nor would I want to use red because there's no red anywhere else. So I used orange, yellow, and green. And I really like the non-traditional color scheme for the traffic signs. Now, don't do this, Tracy. Stop. No. So I had this idea that I might color in some of or all of these traffic signs, and I'm not going to like that. And I'm just kind of experimenting and playing around with my markers. These are just very, very inexpensive Crayola super tip markers. You can get a whole box of like 100 of them or something for a very small amount on Amazon. And these markers actually color fairly decently. Like they don't give you that terrible overlapping look that cheap markers usually give you for small amounts. I wouldn't color big spacious amounts with it. I'd use a better quality marker for that. But these are pretty good for filling in little details of color without having to drag out my Copics or think about my real tip clean color or whatever those are called markers. These are really nice, simple, no-brainer, inexpensive markers to use. So what I decided to do here was to color in the word stop and then also color the outline of it. And I did not like it. So, I mean, you wouldn't know that until you tried it. So I thought, well, I just did one so I can easily replace it with another stop sign, except if you might notice there, the only other stop sign on the piece of paper is the one that I experimented on. And so it has a lot of markings all over it. So that's not going to work. So one of the benefits of having the Kit Club right in your house is that I could grab another piece of this paper. Now, in the future, what I think I might do is just reserve myself the extra pattern paper add-on kit, but I didn't want to do that for myself this time because I knew that they were in short supply, and I would rather have the extra pattern paper be in a customer's hands instead of in my own hands. But I did set aside a kit for my good friend Stephanie, who plans to purchase a kit this Friday. And so I just kind of snagged the paper from her kit, even though I'm sure she won't mind. I'm guessing that she won't mind. If she does, I don't know. I'll think of another way to make it up to her. I actually think she's not going to like that paper. I'm pretty sure she won't like that paper. So, anyhow, I'll deal with Stephanie and her wrath. No, I'm just kidding. She won't be wrathful to me. She's a pretty sweet friend. I'm sure she'll understand. So I am just adding some lines to this already layered embellishment that I created. And I am writing down, both Annabelle and Sophie partook in a student walkout in support of striking school support staff. And I wanted to mention that Sophie walked out as well because she did. I just don't have a picture of it. So I am underlining my journaling, and I think that looks really great. It was Friday, and I had to look up the date, which was May 19th. And so I'm using my Narwhal gray ink here, and I'm going to stamp it. I just did a little test there. I'm going to stamp it right underneath of there. I did it twice just because the first time you couldn't really see the numbers. I'm going to do it in another place too, but I'll do that off screen and I'll tell you when I get to that part. So there's that embellishment now. I promise none of you who buy a kit will get a kit with the stop sign cut out of the piece of paper. That's going to be just for Stephanie's or an extra kit. We have some more kits, so I might even be able to give Stephanie a intact kit, unless if we sell out by Friday. So there we go. I just added a little bit of twine from my stash. And then I just have to grab my Tombow Mono Multi adhesive again. And I'm just going to put that all over the place. That's probably more, this is such strong glue, you only need to use a little bit of it, but it was thin. It looked like a lot, but I spread it pretty thin. And so there we go, putting that down in the corner there. And now I have this kind of, it almost looks like the stop signs are falling out of the sky into the layout. The journaling is there, and this is a very minimalist kind of a layout, as I mentioned already. And so I don't want to add too much to it, but it really does feel like it needs a little something sticking out from behind that matting of the photo. So I thought a little tab might work well, but this tab, which I love, this is a Stampin' Up tab that I use around my scrap room all the time, but it was a little bit too small. So I have this die tab, which is quite a bit bigger than that one. And I just want to align this die on the paper so that it's going to cut out a pattern that's straight. Then I'm going to run it through my small die cut machine, that's a Cuddle Kids, which you can't buy those anymore, but there are lots of different companies that make small little desktop die cut machines these days. And I really love how that looks, that gingham paper. That's basically the backside of the paper that I already used for the matting. So it's Maggie Holmes Woodland Grove. I outlined it just to give it a little bit more presence on the page, and I'm actually going to scooch it down and a little bit crooked just to give it a bit more of a casual look. And what I do off screen that you're not going to see until the photos is I took my roller date stamp. I used the Narwhal ink again, and I just stamped the date right there again. So it's in two places, which is okay. It just puts a little something on that tab and makes it look a little bit more meaningful, like the tab is there for a reason. I'm going to add some outlining to these chipboard pieces because they were the only things on the whole page that had no black at all on them. So adding the outlining adds a little bit of black. And I love an opportunity to use a large enamel dot because I don't typically use those. So I thought that that large orange enamel dot would look good right there. So before I share the photos, the still photos, I just wanted to do a big shout out to my Patreon supporters. These folks help make this channel happen, so a big thanks to them. Patrons get early access to most of my process videos and real-time unedited versions of my videos, as well as a monthly live stream and some more things. So thanks to them, and thanks to you too for watching this video. And here are those photos and some close-ups as well. So I hope that you found this process fun and maybe inspiring or helpful as well. Look at her cute little outfit there. She was totally dressed in their color to support the workers. And I love, love, love these titles that combine the large cursive chipboard pieces from Vicki Boutin with that really beautiful thicker also from Vicki Boutin. So I'm having so much fun combining titles in using this kit. So thanks so much for watching. Check out any of these other videos if you haven't watched them yet, and check out MercyTiaraKits.com if you'd like to purchase this kit. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.